Now that we have this mic, this long tail mic attached to where it's supposed to be, we have it out of the way. Let me jump right into it. Please, if you see me sweating, I know some people want to say, hey, she's sweating. I'm human, number one. Number two, I'm trying out a new setup, and it took me a while to do this whole arrangement. And yes, I'm happy for growth, and I'll just leave it at that. So what is going on? I mean, if you're in Nigeria, Omo, first off, let's put allegedly wherever it should be, because this story, even though we have a mountain full of, evidence and things, all we are just online in-laws observing from a corner, and that is what it is. And so please put allegedly wherever it should be, especially also because there are children involved in this story. Yes, we know the popular, wait for it, the popular meddling boss story. See, I'm not going to come at us with this story like you would expect me to. Feel free to disagree with me in the comment section. I'm going to come from a different angle. I mean, I'll touch some points that we all already know, but definitely from a completely different angle. Completely different angle. So stay with me on this very one to the very last. And without wanting to make this video too long already, let's get into it.
Stay with it. You don't need to water it down.
Like the TikTokers will say, put a finger down if you've noticed a lot of friendship recession, and there goes my finger. What do I mean by this? A lot of people, we claim to be friends, but then we are not. There's a pure friendship. In fact, while I was researching for this particular video, Omo, I had other videos and other documents, and I'll show them right here real quick. Talking about this massive modern day loneliness, why I have no friends, friendship recession, the epidemic of what, the no friend zone and whatever. And somehow that is becoming very okay. Don't get me wrong. But then if you really look deep into this, you will see that it is beginning to create a pit, a hole into some fundamental, how will I put it, things that we grew up on, things that are, how do I put this thing? Things that help form a well-formed human being. I mean, you can't take away friendship, you can't take away, for some people, religion, you can't take away morals, some core values. We all come together to form things that help to form an emotionally balanced individual. Let me put it like that way. And I am not saying that every individual at every point in time is completely well-rounded, well-formed, excellent, perfect. There's no human being on earth that is 100% perfect. When I say well-rounded, I mean balanced in every way we should be. There are pitfalls right now that are shaking the foundations of all these things, because people are now saying, hey, for those people who do besties, for those people who do roomies, for those people who do my bestie, let me tell you, there is nothing wrong in having a best friend. There is nothing wrong in forming endearing relationships. I mean, some people are where they are today because they found friends who believe in them. Some women go out of their way to seek out relationships that will better their lives, and vice versa. And believe you me, it has so far turned out beautiful. And so let's not sit here and pretend like we don't know that friendships, there are some that have been built in heaven to help you become who you are. Because whether you believe it or yes, each and every one of us, yes, we all need relationships, no matter what in this world. We all need to connect here and there. The problem is not in having enduring relationships or any sort of relationship whatsoever. The problem is with the individuals involved. Correct me if I'm wrong. You, as a human being, some point in life you must have experienced the wonders of friendship, whether negative or positive. I want to put it this way because we have to leave everything on a balanced platform, right? Yes, we have to leave everything balanced. And so you must have experienced negative, positive effects, impacts of friendship. Take, for instance, the Sheniqua. I hope I'm calling her name right. This case is still ongoing. She went to She went to somewhere in Mexico with her friends and she was killed. This girl went with her friends, for crying out loud. I mean, some of those friendships are through and through. But then we've also seen that a lot of those friendships are not through and through. And then let's bring it down to talk about Nigerian society. We function like a cluster. This family knows this family. In fact, you know your neighbor to the 10th order. Growing up, and I'm sure it happens in some localities, even as we speak. Forget the wokeness that we are all doing now. You know your neighbor up to the very last end of the street. You know all of them by name. And then it goes both ways. They know you, you know them. You can easily bust into anybody's house and chill with them and chill up to when your mother will come back and scream your name. And the other mother will be like, she's in my house. I mean, let's not deny this thing. A lot of us grew up in that kind of setting, and it was cool. It was beautiful. That's the general average Nigerian society. And so when I see values as such as friendship, such as communalism, such as, relationships, different types of relationship, be it marriage or this friendship we're talking about, or different types of relationships. If I see these things being attacked, I'm like, these are values in a society which should make up an emotionally balanced individual. Remember, growing up, they teach you there is this formal and informal type of kini kini. I'm not talking about letter writing, but yeah. And so the informal one is the one you gather around, you get from your neighbors, from the agbatobi, from, here and there, and it helps to form you. Do not tell me it doesn't. See, there's an Ngozi somewhere, believe me or not, who has learned how to fry akara. And trust me, she did not learn it from her mother. She learnt it from a neighbor. And because she is always there and by the stool of the master, hallelujah, this girl picks up this thing. And somehow, somewhere today, Ngozi is probably cashing in with a knowledge she just picked up along the way. And that is the Nigerian General Society for you. Why am I saying this? These things that are going on right now, believe you me, these things going on, this wokeness we are forming now, is going straight deep to the root of all these fundamentals that we know. Straight to attack the root of all these fundamental values. That's the word. These fundamental values as we know it. How can a girl who is well to do, sound in her right thinking, sound in everything that we know as a full-fledged woman, covet so much more of what someone else has? That someone else is someone who is near to her as much as blood will be. And people go on to say, hey, for people that do besties, the problem is not with being a bestie. It's not with how endearing your relationship is, so much so that you begin to call yourself sweet names like roomie, bestie. The problem is with the values, with the individuals themselves, and with the values that they hold through. And that's what I'm saying. If these values keep tarnishing, all because we want to form woke, then we are in for a very big ride. And then before you know it, you start forming woke to the point that you can peel another human being's flesh, irrespective of who is at the crossfire, to do just to please yourself. Bear in mind that there are two people involved in this whole charade, allegedly. The meddling and the bestie's husband in question. Let me backtrack a little. For those of us who are not Nigerians, meddling boss is, like her name implies, she's a boss in her industry or more. I'm not going to go into it. So let's quickly do a rundown on this man. High profile lawyer, this, that. We already know his status, etc., etc. So for someone who enjoys that type of notoriety, I mean, there is no need to step out of line. The thing is, like I said earlier, it looks like we are beginning to buy into this wokeness so much so that when you see people who are stepping out of line, the thing they usually say is the heart goes for what it wants. And as depressing as this seems to be a trend. Two consenting adults who know what they are doing, who very much well know the premise of what it is they're about to go into, know and are well informed of the consequences that will come out from it, and continue in it and call it that they are acting within their own justifiable reasoning. This has played out one too many times. It's just so heartbreaking to see how these ones do not care. These adults in question, they just don't care. And then they mask it with the heart wants what the heart wants. I've heard that a million times over. There are children that that their hearts are being shredded into many directions. Children who their intellects have not well formed as individuals, who look up to someone, in this case, aka father, for so many things, so in fact, for everything in life, every decision, this, that. And at this point, they are looking at this person, and what he is handing out is something that destroys the very core of a well-balanced human being, forgetting the fact that children, you drag these little ones around, mess them up, mess their emotions up, scatter everything that they know as human beings, every value they've ever believed in, just so that your own heart will what hey, before I bite my tongue, just so that your own heart will want what it wants. Even the adage or the word itself has refused to come out very fluently from my mouth, because what's a selfish thing to say? I mean, how do you begin to cover shit, according to my people? All these things we do now, which push us into some of these vices that attack a lot of what we know, a lot of the values that we know, right? This competition, this devilish competition, because competition in itself is right. It's what pushes you to become better. You see what this person is doing, you'll be like, oh, I have a competitor, now I have to step up my game. That's clean competition. But then there's this devilish one that wants you to push you to go take what the person has. You go to steal the person's recipe. You go as far as killing the person, taking what she has, coveting everything about the person. What? And so this devilish, wicked competition that came from nowhere and people are hating themselves closes off a lot of all this communal living, communal interrelationships. You can imagine a man who is highly placed like that in the society. Omo, you people know how they do for this country. Like I said, they are stringing along a whole community with them. And so as Oga is doing, the apprentice is doing with him. The apprentice also has people looking up to him who are also doing as he's doing. But the fact that individuality is gradually dying is another thing that we have to sit to shake ourselves off. You don't, we do things now way too much because every other person is doing it. There's this thing going on now that, elegant women does not do this, elegant women. Omo, we have a lot on our head already. I mean, kudos to my last video. I had to cut out a lot of things because it was stretching into much more than the 15 minutes I already planned for it. And if you watched to the end of that video, thank you so much, because that's a lot of encouragement to us over here, to me. When I say us, I mean me. And that video shows a lot of things we go through as women biologically. Just by the virtue of you being a woman, you already have these things lined up waiting for you. So whenever you get to that age, bam, the clock starts, and then it starts. Whenever you get to that age, bam, with or without you doing so much. And so to come and heap all the other excesses on your head, it's a lot to handle. So these norms that we normalize, if she dresses classy, she must be picture worthy, she must be this, she must be all more. That you dress classy does not mean that you have that compassion as a human being. You do not dress classy does not also mean that you have that compassion as a human being. It's an individual freaking thing, for crying out loud. And so what am I saying? This culture of wanting to do because this person has done without defining or knowing what we want as individuals. For someone to actually be a friend, you have to ask yourself if you yourself, if you are asked to befriend you, will you befriend you? You know, there are some people who will not uh, employ themselves, they won't want to rock with themselves or gel with themselves. They know that they are terrible at XYZ, but they want to impose on someone else, expecting so much more from people when they can't give that equally. So it's important to, as we go on to strive to see how to get good friends, we ourselves, are we good friends to ourselves, to others? In this case, I bet you that if this woman, if the table was turned and this Madeline's friend, this beautiful lady you see here, you know this thing they say, this lady in question, I know for a fact that this person will not take it sitting down. She will not take it lying down. If this her friend was the person doing the same thing to her. The important thing we need to put in place when making friends, no matter how you fall, whether you see these signs or you do not see these signs, whatever way you see yourself, always have boundaries. I think that is what every individual should have at any given time. And then you try to, because we are human beings. I mean, at some point, you loosen your guard, especially if this friendship has stayed for such a long time. You find that at some point you lose your guard, you loosen your shin guard. You loosen your shin guard and relax a little bit. But then you still have to know that human beings can act funny at some time, maybe by their own will or by external forces, known or unknown. Do you understand what I'm saying? Having friends is one of the best experiences every human being can actually aspire to have. And then when you have these friendships that have lasted over time, it's just like God is pouring you heavenly anointing. I mean, I understand, because to form friends in the world of today, to form friendships of any sort in the world of today, is somewhat transactional, to a certain degree. People just come together on a transactional basis. And maybe so when you see them doing meetings, hanging out, they take pictures, it looks cute, they say friends, but these are not actually friends. And so when you find that one true friend, or that group of actual, friends that will ride and die for you, I mean, it's beautiful. I won't come here to tell you that no, having friends is, you see, not having friends, saying that, hey, you don't have friends, it's not a flex. Thank you so much for coming on this one. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like, the whole shebang, right? Thank you so much. Until the next one, stay blessed. Yeah, welcome, baby. Bye. Mba. Mgbanye ọ ga na-eme noise. Hey, buy yourself. How does that song go? I can buy myself flowers.